Right, we are live. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the Kiwi Lads channel. We are slightly later than we were supposed to be starting this Rugby Championship match. We had a few technical difficulties, so hopefully the sound isn't too bad, but we are here for the last match of the Under-20s Rugby Championship between the Junior Springboks and the New Zealand Under-20s. Now, at the end of this game, it will be determined who has won this competition, and at the moment, the Australians are sitting at the top of the bunch. Now, this table was taken just before they did play up against Argentina, which does mean, of course, that one of these two sides have more than enough potential of going on to win the competition. Looking through at the starting lineups for these two sides, for the South African Under-20s, they've had some sensational players throughout this competition. One in particular, Moyo off the kicking tee, has looked immense in at least the clips that I've seen of him, and also the matches that we did watch earlier on. Also alongside that, I mean, this forward pack, it is always dominating when you look at this Under-20 side and the size that they're able to bring to the field. But someone else to watch out for, of course, is the halfback here, Pede, as he is able to snipe around the sides, get himself the tries as well. They have got there the weather forecast. Max temperature will be 19, minimum will be 10 degrees, and a little bit of wind, unfortunately, about 29 degrees of wind for this fixture. But the table, the way that it currently sits, Australia are sitting at the top of the bunch with the 10 points. Now, they have not lost a game throughout this Rugby Championship. They had a draw up against New Zealand to start it off, and then a win over Argentina, as well as the South Africans. So their points differential is sitting at +9. And that's a little bit significant. We will show just after this lineup, of course, the competition format. You're 3 games each, 4 points for a win, 2 points for a draw, which does theoretically mean that for New Zealand, they can still get themselves the victory here. Although now looking through at the tiebreakers, in terms of the head-to-head win, that would actually put the South Africans out of the equation here. So it's just more of a question, can New Zealand win the Under-20s Rugby Championship, or will it be Australia to get themselves the win instead? In the chat, we have there, good morning, Hamish and Kiwi Lads audience. Welcome in. Hope you are doing very well. So South Africa needs a bonus point win and New Zealand just the win, pretty much. Although now from the looks of it, with the tiebreakers that they've got, South Africa actually, I believe, can't win the Under-20 Championship, but they can stop New Zealand from being able to do so. So perhaps that will build up the rivalry once again between these two young sides. Good afternoon, rugby fans, says Jimbo. And how long till the kickoff? It is only around maybe 5 minutes away from the start of this contest. Looks like a decent crowd for this last match of the competition as well. We have got also icy cold wind today, I should say, from Ruth there. Well, at least it looks like the rain might be slightly clearing up for yourself. Of course, absolutely bucketing down yesterday. The Stormers Dragons game, to be fair, didn't have as much rain as I thought it was going to. It seemed like it actually dried up quite nicely for that game, but we have shown the South African starting lineup. This is the lineup that New Zealand have put together here. Captain Letu in the number 2 jersey, and then also the other 2 vice-captains is Mosisi Basson in the number 8 jersey and Dylan Pledger at number 9. If you're wondering why I'm looking down, I've actually got the lineups here. Before the live stream, I mentioned it briefly in the intro. We had a lot of technical difficulties. My PC at this stage is out of action. I'm through the laptop. I'm pretty much in a different area of the room than I normally would be for these streams, so the vocals are probably a lot different. The visual is as well. So hopefully you guys can hear me all right. Do let me know in the chat if it's not too bad. But looking through at this backline, someone to definitely keep an eye on, Kunawave. He has been scoring tries for fun throughout the first 2 games. And of course, Stanley Solomon actually doing pretty well for the Kiwis throughout the last few games. He is playing from number 15 in this contest, and he is actually the 3rd vice-captain. I didn't give him a mention just before, but I certainly should have, as another player to definitely keep an eye on in this contest. We have got there in the chat, could do with some rain here, and could use it as an excuse for bad rugby. What happened to the PC? Unfortunately, just froze, and then pretty much went bang. I'm really hoping I'll be able to fix it before next weekend, or else I might have to invest in a new one, or just do them through the laptop for a little while. And we have good there, no worries, Hamish, all good, and loud and clear. The thing is, it might even be clearer than it normally is, to be fair, with this new setup. I had to make a few adjustments, because for a start it sounded like I was in a fishbowl, which wasn't ideal, but that's why you do little test runs beforehand, you see, just in case. These two sides lining up for their national anthems. And like I said, New Zealand, a win here would win the Under-20 Rugby Championship. Howdy, says JG. Welcome in. Of course, there is another game taking place at the simultaneous time, and that is the Lions versus Scarlets. Last I saw on the scoreline for that game, 14-0 for the Scarlets. I'm not too sure how it is sitting now. What happened between Australia and Argentina? In the end, Argentina, they put in a good fight, but the Aussies were able to get themselves the win about 40-29 or somewhere around there, I believe it was sitting. So it does now mean that, South Africa could end up on the same points as the leader of this competition, but unfortunately, I don't think they can quite win it. Maybe just the power supply that is gone. Says Salah, possibly. I think it was maybe just a bit full. Like, we've got so many things on that PC, including Rugby 25, which I should probably delete off it as I have to play that through my laptop as well. And what year does this tournament start? Or what year, did it start rather than what one does this one start? It actually only started last year. It was on the Sunshine Coast, which is ironically named because the tournament pretty much rained the whole time that it was taking place. This one taking place in South Africa, in Kleurbrugge, and, hopefully we get to see it once again next year. But it does build these young sides up for their Under-20 Championship, which we have hardly mentioned at this point, but looking through at what is to come for these two sides, their next game will be in around 50 days for South Africa in Pool A for the Under-20 World Champs. They have got Australia, England and Scotland, so a pretty tough group overall, definitely seeing as they've had a couple good battles with the Aussies as of late. And then for New Zealand, they are a part of Pool C alongside Italy, Georgia and also Ireland, which, New Zealand and Ireland, they had a standoff before their game started last year, I believe it was. The haka was done, and then just dead silence, both teams not willing to budge. So there should be quite the rivalry in there as well. Anyone who's wondering about the games that have taken place so far throughout this competition, these are the first two rounds. And then alongside that, we've just seen Australia get themselves the win over the Argentines. But we're just about to hear the South African national anthem on home soil before we do get into this exciting Under-20s match. I thought it would have been formed sooner. The Six Nations have had an Under-20 for years. Says Geza, yeah, only very recently they decided to go for it, which, yeah, like you said, it should have probably been done a long time ago. Maybe the Under-20 Super Rugby Pacific is one of the reasons that they started getting it going a little bit for the New Zealand sake. But yeah, Sansa, I would have thought would have jumped on this opportunity a long time ago. Over 70% here picks South Africa to win. Going on earlier results, I thought New Zealand would start favourites. Says Wafer, although I should also mention it's currently 2:08 a.m. here in New Zealand, so maybe that's the line that's kind of factored it a little bit. I'd assume we've got a few more South African viewers, but also, like, when you look through at this lineup, they have got so much potential across this whole side. Justa out on the wing has been very impressive throughout this competition. A few of those big loose forwards for this game, they've gone Wandile Mlaba, also Romeo and Biela as the other man there. And Hamish, who's got the edge here. Well, South Africa are on home soil, but New Zealand, last time these two sides played, I want to say it was a draw, wasn't it? Last year in the comp. I can't actually quite remember it, but I think it was close. Oh, okay, I see it now. Says Fakes in there. Yeah, we are very close to the start of this contest. We have got there, Hamish, you're looking pretty good for 2 a.m. in the morning. Says Ruth, I looked very stressed before this live stream started. I can tell you that right now, when everything started pretty much failing in terms of the PC and in terms of just like technical difficulties, you got to love them and you got to get used to them too. But we've managed to see it through and we're almost at the kickoff of this contest. Someone did mention that it was Scarlets taking on Lions score at the moment, 17-3, I think someone just had in the chat not too long ago. I think one man was cheering for the South African national anthem, actually accidentally spit his gum about 2 rows in front, and he was kind of looking off as if to say, oh, that was me, but maybe I'll look away and no one will know. And we have got there, Bockies must be underdogs after the poor Aussie game, says ARC. Well, the thing is, they started that match so well, didn't they? You know, getting off to a brilliant start and then just let it slip through the fingertips. Australia, though, they have shown definitely they are deserving of at least second place, you'd say, in this comp. To be a little bit unlucky to finish off third, and I don't think it's actually physically possible for them to do so. They will at least be second in this contest. But New Zealand doing the haka before the contest. Like I mentioned, they will be going head-to-head with a few sides in the World Champs under-20s in about 50 days' time. What was the score between Argentina and Australia? So Australia won it. I'll get you the exact scoreline because I know that it was about 40-29, I thought, the last time I saw it. Gaming on PC won't do that, matey, says Doc Martin. And we have got there, Go the Bocky says, JG, if my PC fails, I want to throw it against the wall. PC failing so much in 2025 for some odd reason, says Xander. So 17 points to 7 at the moment in that Lions versus Scarlets matchup. But in terms of the under-20 Rugby Championship, Australia were able to get themselves a win. 40 points to 36. So it was 40-29 the last time I saw it, but Argentina must have got a last-minute try. We have got there, he uses cannabis oil on his face and cow dong 1 a.m. every weekend. Who, me or someone else that you do know? And close one says Giza. Yeah, actually a really good fight back from Argentina in there as well. And hello Hamish, I'm late. Please give us a quick summary of the pools, says Sean. So for this one, it's just the Rugby Championship involving the 4 sides, just like the men's. This is the one, or at least this is the way that it sits currently, except Australia have moved up to 10 points as they got themselves a win over Argentina. So South Africa, if they win this game, they can secure second spot on the overall standings, but they can't quite get ahead of Australia because of that head-to-head result, so it could come back to haunt them in the later stages of the comp, and also, I mean, that's in about 80 minutes' time when this game is over. For New Zealand, if they win this game, they win the Under-20s Rugby Championship for a second year in a row. That is due to their massive win that they got over Argentina last week, which was an incredibly impressive one for South Africa. They did have that narrow loss to the Aussies, 29 points to 24, whereas for New Zealand, they drew with Australia 29-29, and then beat Argentina 75 points to 21. Well, the crowd are absolutely loving it, having a bit of a dance in the stands, but the haka has been done by New Zealand, which means we are only moments away from the kickoff in this contest. So Australia will want a box victory. Exactly right, yep. Or a draw. A draw would actually, I believe, still get Australia just... Oh no, the points differential for a draw might actually hurt the Aussies. So yeah, they just need a big performance here from the Junior Springboks. Nice moment there between the referee and the number 10 Moyo in this one. I'm talking about Velma out of Scooby-Doo, says Fakes. And all good, Sean, as long as your wife or girlfriend is not late, says ARC. But now... we are ready to go. It looks like South Africa will be kicking off this game from left to right, so only Australia and New Zealand can win the tournament. Correct. But South Africa can cause some problems, but also they can end up on the same amount of points as the other sides, if that makes sense. So even though they wouldn't win the competition, they can still end up on the same points as the winner, in which case, you're only missing out by a very thin margin. But they'll want to finish strong. They've made quite a few changes to their lineup here. Looking forward to seeing this midfield combo, though, of Albie Bester as well as Erasmus. Those two could maybe have a future in a Springbok jersey in 5 years' time. Nice take from New Zealand inside of their own 22, and we are underway for this matchup. Now, hopefully the scoreboard on my laptop is going to behave itself and maybe a little bit slow updating for a start. Bit of a missed pass out wide from New Zealand, cleaned up by Kunawave, but it means that South Africa have got themselves a line out only 10 metres out from the try line. And this could be an absolutely terrible position to be on the field for New Zealand here. We have got their first try to New Zealand quick, although it looks like maybe South Africa might be the first one to score here with the positioning on the field. Getting ready to throw this one in. It is Imne Balele. Does launch it in and nicely taken. And looking to get this one moving forward. It is slowly creeping towards New Zealand's line, but breaking off the back now, the hooker. Sitting about 5 metres out, showing some strength, but eventually the Kiwis manage to drag him down. Pede goes to the short side. Almost managed to get the offload away out to Houston. If they had, probably wouldn't have been stopped, but Pede goes back across again to the left-hand side. Who are the star players? Do you see another Lomu or Habana in these sides? I mean, Klakane off the bench does get a lot of praise in terms of what he's able to do. But looking through, Hashim Pede at the moment from this competition, you'd say he's definitely looking great. Like, I don't know whether or not you go to the level of Habana or Lomu, because these guys are still extremely young. Half of them are teenagers, but, there's pure pace in the South African side and massive forwards as well. So they could definitely have a bright future. Looks like the captain now, Riley Norton, going off to the right-hand side. Chance here for Boyo. Or Moyo, I should say, sorry, rather than Boyo. That might be his nickname, we don't know. But Pete now going off to the right-hand side. Chance here, and Bester gets over. And that is the early try for South Africa. Only 2 minutes into this contest, and they have already struck in this matchup. Fantastic start to the match for the Junior Boks. And under 20, we have a cracker squad, not a bomb squad, says ARC. And also, a roof must be Sasha, says Sean. In terms of who's the next Dan Carter, I mean, like, Sasha at the moment has definitely got a rocket strapped to him in terms of that potential, but, oh, there we go. We've got the scoreboard actually updating. I'm not sure how to, did our screen just go black when we tried to update the scoreboard, ladies and gents? Or was that just for my coverage of it? Hopefully it's going to behave. If we go like that, I can't actually see whether or not the scoreboard is still updating. Do let me know if it goes up to 7, ladies and gents. Whether it stays the same. No, says Geza, so it didn't cut out. That's good news if it didn't, but that one has missed away to the side. So the score will sit at 5 points. Yes, it's gone black, says Drape. And no screen was fine, says JG. But yeah, good run on the short side from Best and just showing off the physicality. How are we going to watch the game, says Bevan. If you're in New Zealand, it is on Sky Sport 1. I'm not actually too sure, other than, of course, DSTV in South Africa, where the options are to watch. But on Super Rugby Pacific's YouTube channel, you can catch the highlights afterwards. More like who's the next game manager. A lot of depth, but needs some intelligence. Like our legendary leader, says Mr. All-In, just outside of the 22. Yeah, just talking about the fact that New Zealand have gone with Will Cole in that number 10 jersey, rather than Rico Simpson. Will be instead making his way off the bench. In fact, quite a few changes off the bench for both of these sides. Stanley Solomon with a good attack and run, tries to put it on the outside, but it is dropped by Sal Noah. I believe he actually maybe played out on the wing in that first contest. And we have got the, how old will Sasha be when the Lions tour South Africa next? So it's another 8 years. So 2033 is when they'll head back to South Africa. So Sasha Feinberg, he's 22 at the moment, maybe even 21. So, yeah, it's a bit of a shame, isn't it, when you put it that way, the fact that he should hopefully still be playing, but of course had his fair share of injuries in there too. It's good that your scoreboard is delayed. Some games the scoreboard updates before you commented, then it's confusing, says Xander. And on Sky Sports, says Fakes. And there as well, they are just talking about the deflection of Kunawave. So every once in a while, we will have to quickly adjust the scoreboard just to keep the time kind of ticking over. And no surprise, in New Zealand, rugby will always be on. Rugby in New Zealand. Yeah, we've been quite lucky in terms of the fact that even the URC games are on TVNZ+. So you get a little bit of the best of both worlds. But the scrum feed now for South Africa, who have had a very strong start to this match. New Zealand front row does go down. Pete is told to use it. Goes off to the left-hand side to the try scorer, Bester. Great leg strength and drive again from him. Almost looking like a young Damien Dialendi. Of course, it's a bit early to say that because it can go wrong very quickly. Been impressed with Cobus Visa. Hopefully we don't have to play Evan Etzebeth the whole year this season, says Morse. And yeah, he's just had a really bad run of injuries, hasn't he? Even at the moment. New Zealand bent over backwards with Finn McLeod. Searching for this ball. I think that was Sinton in that number 9 jersey. What happened to Dylan Pledger, I wonder? Because Charlie Sinton was going to be off the bench. I think Pledger was supposed to be starting. So that's a bit of a concern for New Zealand. Definitely with what Pledger's been able to do throughout the first 2 matches. Stanley Solomon, inside of his 22, kicks it downfield. Bit of a miscommunication at the back from South Africa. Been managing to clean it up now. And it is quite funny how it doesn't take long at all to see a comparison to a certain player. in terms of these younger guys. You know, I think it's the number 7 for South Africa at the moment. I'm looking at him and seeing a bit of a Paul de Villiers. We did see in action last night. Now going off to the right-hand side here. Big bump off of New Zealand. It's not very often Sikapole is the man who does get sat down, but South Africa just some brilliant face play. Beautiful offload as well coming here. And South Africa, good clean out, sitting 15 metres out from the line. Peed with a step. Can't quite get round Sinton. Now going back to the right-hand side here again. Norton, the captain, 7 phases in a row again. Where can I watch this? Roberto, if you're in New Zealand, Sky Sport. If you're in South Africa, I believe DSTV have it. And then other than that, I'm not actually too sure. Unless Rugby Pass have it, possibly. Now, nice step again. Erasmus almost going over the try line. Back to the right here. Big chance. And over the line they go. Ngobesi does score it after 10 phases. And that is now 2 tries, ladies and gents, within 7 minutes for the South Africans. What time is it starting? It has already started, and South Africa are already leading 10 points to 0 with a nice, easy kick to come. Do you think the URC should have 20 club teams in it? I think that 16 works all right at the moment, and it's been extremely competitive, which is fantastic news. These guys are just starting out, whereas I'm the opposite. I've retired from open age rugby. I'm 42, so time finally caught up, says Geza. But it's a great bit of work there from these South African forwards, as well as getting those backs involved. Good morning, says Amelia. Welcome in. Hope you are doing extremely well. Hope you're excited for this match. And damn sake, Hamish, says Vakes. Yeah, great start for South Africa, now leading 12 points to 0 in this match. We will get the scoreboard to update. There we go. But yeah, what can you say other than absolutely brilliant work? Where's Ollie Mathis? Says Crimson. Am I right in saying Ollie Mathis missing from... Yeah, he's completely out of the lineup. Pledge is also missing, though. He was going to be initially starting for the Kiwis, instead having to go with Charlie Sinton, who was going to be off the bench. They're going to be kicked off high from New Zealand. Bit of a fumble there at the back. Kunawave not able to get the ball. Another good run forward from Minto. And very slow start by New Zealand. Good start for the Boks, says Drape, although we have seen them do that before in this competition. We've got to remember their game up against Australia. They were leading 17-0 or so and went on to lose that game. So New Zealand will still feel a little bit of confidence that they can come back into it, but they certainly won't want South Africa getting themselves another one. Happy Mother's Day, Ruth, says Rehash in there, trying to kick him behind for Moyo. New Zealand looking for the steal in the breakdown. Not quite able to get it, going back across left for the Junior Springboks. And 51-3 final score, says Sean. That would be quite the statement win, wouldn't it? Nice cross kick from Moyo, but it doesn't quite go into the hands of the man waiting out on the wing, Cheswell Juster. They will go back for an initial penalty, though, in favour of South Africa. So they will be able to work their way down the field a little bit further forward. And BB looking good so far, says ARC. And they lead 17-0 against Australia, and Pledger dropped out with illness, yes. Oh, so he's actually been out for a little while in that case for Pledger. So hopefully he's going to be all right. Of course, you'd assume that these sides are flying back relatively quickly after these games have concluded. And that's a long flight, 14 hours from South Africa to Sydney. And then you got another about 3.5 getting into New Zealand. So, yeah, hopefully he's going to be all right for those long flights. I imagine there would be nothing worse than being unwell while sitting on a long haul. Now, nicely claimed by South Africa, who have had over 80%, they have just mentioned, in terms of the possession throughout the start of this contest. Getting into the first 10 minutes now, Erasmus straightens with his run. Mosisi Basson trying to get that turnover in the breakdown, unable to do so. Knock on there from South Africa, but again, it's going to be no clear release from New Zealand. Happy birthday to you, Hamish. I don't know if it's my birthday. I think that's in December, if I'm honest, but we'll take the birthday praise. And Junior Boks showing who's the best team in the world, says LFG. And hate that flight. Feels like it never ends, says ARC. And yeah, I think that, for some of these young guys, it's probably the longest flight that they may be taking in quite some time. Also depending on if they're heading up north for any other under-20 matches or into the the bigger sides in the future. And why can New Zealand clubs join the or why can't they join the URC and Champions Cup, says Roberto. Well, URC, it is because they are in Super Rugby, and the two do overlap. In terms of the Champions Cup, it's because it's the European Champions Cup, but like the European Competitions Champions Cup, if that makes sense, seeing as now South Africa are involved. They're now looking for the rolling maul again. And Balele does get it in, and another penalty going against New Zealand. They are getting dominated in the early stages of this match. They've been going so well in their other games. The first game that we decided to cover, we've probably jinxed them badly here. And it looks like we're helping South Africa big time. Well, says ARC and Under-20 World Championships. Who do you think will win? Nobody really stands out. Favourites at this point, maybe France. I agree, France are looking relatively strong. The Under-20s in England as well look like they've got a really good group coming up through the ranks. And, of course, you can't really count out either of these two teams, as well as, Australia looking pretty handy. Should be a World Rugby Club Cup. They are looking to bring that in the near future. Maybe in about 2 years' time or so, but now rolling more here for South Africa. They are over for their third try. This time, I believe it will be the hook. Oh, a little bit of afters there between the two sides. But Umne Balele does manage to score it. This is not the toilet area for the gents. Wrong place, and New Zealand have been poisoned, says Crimson. They have started this match about as badly as they could have, but also I feel like South Africa have started this match just with some sort of vengeance in their eyes. The way that they've been playing, they've looked absolutely phenomenal throughout the first 13 minutes, and it just makes you wonder, if they have done this, or if they had done this, up against Australia and continued it, could they have won this Rugby Championship comp? There's going to be a chance for Moyo. We've got there, they have and did have a Club World Challenge in League. Could Union do something similar? I think they are looking at going for something similar in the future. It's just more so trying to find a way of getting all of the sides available at a similar time. URC must review how long their reviews take, says Sean, and New Zealand is playing now, says Novmum. And yeah, this one, New Zealand versus South Africa. In terms of those under-20 championship games, I believe they are at random hours for us here in New Zealand due to... Oh, I see what you did there, ARC. You're saying New Zealand have not turned up for the first 14 minutes. 19-0 at the moment for South Africa. Crazy scoreline, ladies and gents. Scoreboard does not want to give them the extra 2 points by the looks of it, so hopefully it does in the near future. I hope we can have a tight one. Because these pictures, New Zealand showing the ref is not a good starter here, says Mr. All-In. Yeah, it's been far from ideal for New Zealand. 14 minutes of South Africa pretty much just being all over them throughout the early stages of this match. You're the first person I've ever said hello to in any chat on the internet ever. But it's Mother's Day, so says Rehash. But now going back across to Sinton. Tracy in the midfield. And New Zealand have now got themselves the penalty advantage, going off to the right-hand side. Skip pass coming from Will Cole. Finds Letiel out on the wing. He's the captain alongside two other co-captains in this match. South Africa's fullback is extremely deep there. They are only on the 50-metre line here, New Zealand. South Africa did have one about 22 metres out from their line. Maybe that is because they felt New Zealand might opt for a kick, seeing as they had the penalty advantage. So he did want to be back ready for that one. I'm shocked New Zealand is stuck in their own half. And Kia ora, Hamish says, Kip, welcome in. You are doing extremely well. Currently 15 minutes into this contest, and it is 19-0 for the South Africans. So New Zealand, far from their best in the first little while of this contest, but they will be able to kick this one into touch now. And it's a trap, says Cebu. This scoreline, it feels a little bit similar to what we saw between South Africa and Australia in their last contest. I should also mention, for anyone wondering about the URC game, Scarlets versus Lions currently sitting 22 points to 12 in favour of the Scarlets, who were the favourites going into that match. Bok will win 27 points to 18. Says Johannes. That's going to be well thrown in. Now looking to get this rolling maul marching forward for New Zealand. They managed to score themselves over 70 points last week up against Argentina. In fact, only a few days ago, A lot has changed since then. There is an advantage for offside against South Africa again. 15 metres out from the line. Looked like Kunawave was having a little bit of a push and a shove with one of the other players. Pick and go again from New Zealand. Sitting only 5 metres out, Basson with some good hands. The back line wanted to get it moving, but they'll go back for the penalty advantage due to the knock-on. Sky Sport New Zealand should review how long they interview the players out of the Women Rugby Championship. Says Fakes, as in that it's too long or too short. Fakes, and 22-14. Says ARC there, so they must have just got that conversion afterwards, did they, the Lions? And again, Cole will be able to kick this one into touch. They will only be 5 metres out from South Africa's line. And they need some Mexican chili to get them going, New Zealand. Says Ruth. Yeah, they haven't really been able to find that next gear, but yeah, just a little bit too high from Nebelele. Too short, says Fakes. Now ready to throw this one in for the Kiwis. Taken at the front from Xavier Tracy. It's been dragged down. Well defended by South Africa. Have stopped all momentum there. Kunawave in the middle of the field. 10 metres out from the try line. Another advantage against South Africa. Their discipline starting to let them down a little bit here. Now flinging it off to the left-hand side. Stanley Solomon passes it across, dragged down just short of the line is Luai, who tries to get up and go again. 2 metres out from the try line. Good defence from the big South African forwards. New Zealand trying everything that they can to break through and score. Poland now. Looks like they will shift this one to the left. And great, maybe a great finish there from David Luai. He is claiming the try, but I'm not sure whether anyone else is. And New Zealand will be back in the second half. Says Rehash, and goal, says Crimson. That is a Superman-like dive out on the wing for New Zealand here. If he has managed to score it, it would be a pretty impressive one. They are going to go upstairs and check this one. Come on, the Baby Blacks. Says Lawrence there. And New Zealand will be back in the second half. New Zealand pitched for the game at last. Says ARC. Yeah, this last 3 minutes or so, it's been ever since South Africa gave away that one penalty. Game's completely changed. On-field decision is try for Luai. They will just check the feet. That looks pretty good. If he's got that one without a foot in touch, which I believe he has, David Luai scores the first try of the match now for New Zealand. And after 18 minutes, we have had 4 tries between these two sides. Hopefully the Junior Boks will keep composure and not lose concentration in the second half, says Glenham. And also, in this first half, we've still got 22 minutes. It's Sal Noah who is starting out on that left wing side. I think it was initially going to be David Luai, so maybe Pledger not the only guy who's gone out with the illness just before the game. But now, Will Cole getting ready to kick this one. It will not be an easy one, right next to the sideline. So we'll take, first of all, a massive strike to get it there, and then a pretty handy one to go through the post. Will just miss away to the side. Almost came back a little bit, but has missed. And 19 points to 5 now, the score between these two teams. But it was a great pass as well from the replacement. Well, at least he was going to be the replacement, Charlie Sinton. South Africa just a little bit slower, getting back to the halfway line here. Perhaps just wanting to slow it down, feel like they're back in control, as they did start this match so well. And go New Zealand all the way from Sri Lanka. Says Pink Notion, it is great to have you here on the live stream. Of course, we've been seeing those under 85 kg games taking place between New Zealand and Sri Lanka, and the atmosphere for those games has been absolutely incredible. It is a knock-on now for New Zealand off the kickoff. Just goes forward from Tracy. And then a knock-on from South Africa too. So the scrum now, South Africa will have it 25 metres out. You change sides, Ruth. And wow, how did that score happen? Says Wampia Bosch. Yeah, both sides just going out of the gates firing. And yeah, right from the get-go, looking to bring a high tempo. Now, New Zealand, in terms of coming out of the gates firing, they didn't really strike the way that they would have wanted to on attack. But defensively, they had some pretty good moments. South Africa, I believe, maybe 2 of their tries came from 9+ phases. But in the end, just too good and too powerful and making their way through. And we have got there, please hit that like button. Says Roof, for anyone who hasn't already. Of course, also be sure to leave a like and subscribe. We have got the URC next weekend alongside Super Rugby. We do the 7s on the channel. We might be doing some of the under-20s Rugby Championship too. The Women's World Cup coming up not too far away as well. Once again, collapsing in the front row for these two starting 1, 2 and 3s. Good afternoon from a warm northern garden, says Flesh, and welcome in. I assume you know the score in the URC game at the moment. Without jinxing them, they're going all right. The Scarlets currently sitting 22-12, at least is the score that I've got here. It was recently a yellow card for JC Pretorius, so that will bode well for the Scarlets too. Getting ready to feed this ball in for Hasim Peed. But worrying how far Ireland have got behind England at this level, says Jimbo. And yeah, I think it is a bit of a concern, definitely with those Leinster Academy players, although, you know, when you look through at those guys, it just seems like Ireland, 1 or 2 more big players. No, I do not. Oh, well, I'm sorry for spoiling it then. I get too angry, says Fleshin. So yeah, forget that I said the score then, and we'll just act like it never happened. Knock on there from South Africa. Another mistake coming in there from the big number 12. In this game is LB Best. I feel like he looks like he already weighs 100 kgs. He is a massive individual. Certainly slot into a few South African URC sides not too badly in the next couple of years. We've seen a few of the young guys from the under-20s actually making their way up. Even in terms of New Zealand, the under-20 Super Rugby guys getting the chance for the senior teams. We actually saw, I think it was Basson running the drinks. That is Vernon Basson. And then one of the props, I think, made his way. Oh no, in fact, that was actually in the South African game, wasn't it? Poor Thien got himself a chance for the Stormers. Apparently, even injury not serious, says Sean. Yeah, by the sounds of it, he's going to be all right. I mean, that man is made out of stone anyway, it seems. Like, when he gets injured, normally for him to stay down, it's relatively serious. But I think it was just a knock the wrong way, and hopefully won't be out for a massive amount of time. Sinton goes back across to the left-hand side for New Zealand. Kick downfield and well handled. And the number 15 jersey for Mento. Now back across to the skipper. Oh, referee goes down on the halfway line. It looks like there's a little bit of slipperiness in the turf, or maybe a little bit of grippiness, in fact, that the two sides are just struggling to get their footing at times. And be driven into touch for South Africa. So the line out for New Zealand here around the halfway line. And sorry, but we deserve our couple of minutes of sunshine, says Fleshin. And Durban in winter is the best weather for 4 countries I've been to. And good afternoon, Jimbo. Hope you're having a chill Sunday. Here's Sebastian in there as well. Yeah, a little bit of a later game than we are used to having in terms of a Monday game for us here in New Zealand. Yeah, hopefully your guys' Sundays are going well. And it will also be Mother's Day, I believe, for a lot of you guys in terms of the North or Northern Hemisphere as well as South Africa. So hopefully you are having a great Mother's Day. Going off to the right-hand side now for New Zealand. Pop pass up. Miscommunication there when it came to the back line, but the penalty will go in favour of New Zealand again. Hey, Hamish, says Jeffrey, welcome in. Hope you are doing extremely well and hope you are excited for the rest of this contest. Currently 23 minutes in. South Africa have got themselves a pretty handy lead of 14 points, but we know how quickly these games can change. South Africa know it all too well after what happened in their last game. And very chill, Sebastian. It's sunny and warm and beer-filled. And here comes the only North European who doesn't chase the sun, says Fleshin. And South Africa be the winner. They need more power plus strength. South Africa, bright future. And hello, everyone. I hope you're all good. I almost missed the match, says Langani. Hopefully I've said that correctly. And do let me know, of course, if I've mispronounced it. I will correct it. But this is an interesting contest. Australia at the moment, the way that this game sits, would win the Rugby Championship. Now, New Zealand, they just need a win to be able to secure it. For South Africa, they can tie the points with the top Australia, but sadly cannot win the Under-20 Rugby Championship from here. Letu breaks away, 22 metres out from the line now for New Zealand. Sinton going across To the left-hand side, I believe it was Jack Wiseman. He's actually playing at number 12 in this game rather than the 13 like he was going to be starting. Now, big run forward from Kunawavi. He scored himself, I believe, 4 tries throughout this competition. Where are you watching this? It is on Sky Sport 1 here in New Zealand. Rugby Pass TV may have the games, though, depending on where you are in the world. Now, Cross Kunawavi charging forward, but they decide to go to the bigger forwards on the inside, right next to the goal line now. Letiu, close, that's very close in fact. He might have all but got that one down, but they decide to fire it out to the left-hand side. Kunawavi with a great step, passes one more, and the second try for Haaland Solnoa. And that will be 2 in a row for the Baby Blacks too. And here they come, says ARC. Yeah, it was once again a firing start from South Africa, but New Zealand just seeming like they've found their rhythm. And thank you, New Zealand under 85s for the 2 games played here in Sri Lanka. Honestly, like, when you look at those matches and you look at the way that the crowd reacted, I would love to see New Zealand go back. Like, you don't get that type of atmosphere in many countries around the world. And, yeah, hopefully we do get to see them go back at some point. One moment, I am about to sneeze, so I will very quickly mute. We are good. We have got the Owerri Sebastian here in Ulster. We call 16 degrees, warm and sunny. And also, Pick Notion, your boys played good rugby too, brother. Thank you, Sri Lanka, says Drape. And 22-19 in the URC. See, if the Lions win that game, Scarlets, they make it a little bit more challenging for themselves. But sadly, after that Betterton win, it means that the Lions have no chance of going through to the next stage. That kick from New Zealand is successful. And the lead of 19 points has turned into 7 points now. That just makes, I would think, the South African side a little bit concerned that deja vu is going to be kicking in for them. Getting ready to kick off this one, though, from the halfway line. Scoreboard has updated, which is fantastic news. And New Zealand coming back, says Ruth. Anyone who has noticed that the setup seems a little bit different, it is because we had a massive amount of technical difficulties. My PC decided that it didn't like me and now isn't working, which is not ideal, but hopefully it comes right before next weekend, or at least we can try and fix it. So we're on the laptop, we're in a different slight corner of the room. I'm just home from a week in Liverpool, Sebastian, and sometimes it's not fun for me when the other team gets tries, says Rehash. An high-scoring game, maybe? Absolutely. I think we're going to get to see both of these sides bring up, hopefully, at least 30 points. And we get a bit of a thrilling finish like we had in South Africa's last performance. But they will shift this one away to the side. Moyo looking for the offload and doing extremely well to get it away to Erasmus for would have been Romeo, I believe, in their number 7 jersey. Now popping the ball up again for South Africa. They've decided to keep this ball alive. Gone for the quick dip. Ngobesi, the man who did score not too long ago, back across to the left for South Africa, shoveling it on as Erasmus joining the line for Mintu, gets it across, and that is a fantastic try. And it is Cupido who does score it. And South Africa get on the board again. Is this game at Ellis Park? It actually isn't. It is in Kleberge, but we had Ellis Park ready for the Lions game because we were going to be covering that up against the Scarlets. And because of my PC pretty much getting broken in the last, probably 30 minutes before the game, I only had this background. I didn't have time to get one for my laptop as well as trying to sort out the audio. So that's why it's Ellis Park. That's Cape Town next to me as well. So we're a bit all over the place with the background, but great try from Cupido. New Zealand's defence, you could say, was all over the place when they were trying to stop that one. As his ball, Sebastian, myself and my daughter. I enjoy great food, drink and crack with the locals, says Jimbo. Hello, okay, Hamish says Rehash. And there as well. Nate said about the new PC, yeah, it might have to come in the near future, although, yeah, it's going to be possibly a costly venture. That one is going to go over from Moyo. He's had some pretty decent kicking. It sounds like it. An old PC says Blues Nate. But yeah, great shifting away to the side for the South Africans. So they will now be sitting 26 points to 12. New Zealand, they've been able to score twice, but You just wonder whether or not now that try for South Africa, the momentum is back in their favour. It's actually been a game of discipline at the moment in terms of the thing that has let both of these sides down. When South Africa started conceding penalties, that is when they started having tries scored against them for New Zealand. The knock-ons have also been a bit of a factor. I'm on a 20 is plenty principle, says Sebastian, and 27-19 in the game between Scarlets and the Lions there. 29-19. How much time is remaining in that one, ARC? I'd assume that they've only got less than 10 minutes, if not maybe even less than 5. Unless, of course, they've had a couple stoppages throughout that game to slow it down. Nice backline here for New Zealand. Lot of open space. South Africa scrambling across the Stanley Solomon, but that one pass took all the momentum out of New Zealand's move. Sinton has a bit of a slip, which stops the quick attack from the Kiwis. 7 minutes remaining, says ARC. And I vacuum clean my keyboard. Works brilliant now, says Bruce. Now 22 metres out from the line. We've got 9 minutes remaining in this first half. Between these two sides, it has been a very entertaining half so far. I'm hoping it will be an entertaining finish as well. Back across to the right-hand side. Referee has to just get out of the way of that one. Trying to get the turnover and the breakdown, told to get out of it for the big man, Jean Erasmus. Or Jean Erasmus, I should say. And we have good there on an important note. Do they have beards yet? A lot of the blokes do have full beards. I think last year, some of the comments on the under-20 were saying that a few of the players looked like they already had a wife, kids, and a mortgage. But a lot of those guys have, of course, moved on, seeing as they were just under 20 for last season. No advantage for just jumping in off the feet. I believe that would have been against Biella. And New Zealand get themselves another penalty. This is where we've seen sides scoring time and time again. Let's go the Scarlets, says Blues Nate. And 8 minutes, says Jamie there. And all around the world, says Ruth. And there as well, 11 phases from New Zealand. I believe that is almost the most that they have reached throughout this contest. The game of rugby is just increasing in skill and quality and leaps and bounds, says Stefan. Yeah, it is an ever-evolving game. And when you look through at these under-20 players and the talent that is developing for all the countries that are taking part, like there is going to be a lot of great players in the future just around the corner. Amateur Mustache is fabulous, says Ruth there. And 19 points to 29 Scarlets with 6 minutes left. And I hope you saw me waving, says Flesh. And there as well, New Zealand now will have themselves the line out. Manu Maua Letu does get this one in. And this one's rolling very nicely, breaking off the side. Very hard to drag him down. That is a finish and a half. I mean, yes, it was Justa in front of him trying to slow him down, but there was another man in there too, and New Zealand now get themselves their third try of this match. We've had 7 tries in this first 33 minutes of the contest, ladies and gentlemen. When you talk about like entertaining rugby in terms of if you are one of these under-20 Rugby Championship viewers who maybe this is one of the first competitions that you get to see, and you're just seeing two young sides going back to back, try after try. Yes, there are a couple moments in defence that have been lacking for the teams, but in terms of entertainment value, you can't ask for much more than we're seeing in this contest. Now lining up this kick from the sideline, not a huge amount of time remaining for Will Cole to be able to line it up. Sitting 1 from 2. I need to have a walk if we're winning, says Fleshin. And Lions Stadium empty, says Jamie there. And try, says Geza, and quite the battle. Yeah, it's been an incredible back and forth and crazy attack, says Drake. Yeah, to finish it from where he was, like to break off the back as early as he did as well. That one's missed away to the side for New Zealand, so not quite striking it off the tee the way that they'd like. The score now sitting 26 points to 17, and we still have 5 minutes or so remaining in this first half. Lions have been a letdown this year, the end, says Rehash. And kids love to practice attack way more than defence, judging by the scoreline. And I think it also comes down to attacking from a young age is something that you pretty much learn. And it's a bit similar to what you said in terms of they practice the attack more so than the defence. But as you develop as a player, when you reach around that 25, and then definitely by the time you're 30, your defence has come a massive way, and you normally have all the tricks to be able to stop those type of plays. Like we would have seen in terms of if it was a senior player making that tackle, I believe he would have gone low. Someone else goes high or roughly round the chest, and then you take him down early. But just pure power shown as well, which was incredibly impressive to watch. That one's going to be knocked loose. South Africa, though, once again with another attacking opportunity, looking for the offload, which he does seem to do quite a bit so far in this game, Romeo. And my 51 points to 3 is out the window. Honestly, 54 points, though, in the first half could be on the way that these two sides are going back and forth. The Lions losing 19 points to 29 in the 77th minute, says Loftus-Bok. And New Zealand policy will let them down in the future because some of these players are so talented that big money teams may snap them. That's a concern. It is, but, you know, they showed recently New Zealand lost $19 million for this financial year. So that's also something, like, they are going to lose a few young guys. I think that's just going to be the sad reality because of the amount of money that they are losing. Like, they also had a record financial year in terms of the amount of money that they brought in, I believe, but they still managed to lose a massive amount of money alongside it. So, yeah, not quite what they would have liked. Lions are bad. Bed, sad, says Drape. Yeah, unfortunately, for a side that at the start of the season, for me, were a little bit of a dark horse. You know, they had all the tools to be able to go far. Yes, they've had their fair share of injuries, but I feel like it's those close games that they haven't quite been able to win that have really hurt them. The Junior Boks need to keep this lead, says Loftus, and what a legend high Kiwi, says Christian. Welcome in. We are doing extremely well. We are currently sitting almost 3 a.m. here in New Zealand, but there was no way we were going to be missing this game. As these two sides, I mean, when they play, there is always that rivalry there. Speaking of rivalry, we see there off the ball Erasmus and Tracy having a little bit of a wrestling match, going up for that ball, not able to take it cleanly, but New Zealand now slapping it back, knocked on now from, I believe it would have been Blad, I should say. But it was off New Zealand first, so South Africa have got themselves the scrum with just the 3 minutes remaining in the half. I think whatever Donald thinks about the URC, it's actually about how good it's been for South Africa overall. Says Rehashed, and what country is the match in? This is in South Africa, so Kleburger, I should say, is the location. I can't quite say that as smoothly as the locals, sadly, but yeah, in South Africa for this one. Last competition was in Australia, so you'd assume next one would either be in New Zealand or Argentina. I'm not sure whether or not that has been confirmed yet, though. Looks like a bit of an injury here for Jean Erasmus. And Kiwi early prediction for Rugby Championship in the Lions Tour. Rugby Championship, honestly, like, this is as a Kiwi as well, so you got to keep it slightly secret, but I do think South Africa should take it this year, just looking at the players that they've got at the moment. Like, don't get me wrong, New Zealand I think will be up there too, but I do think that it will take New Zealand a little bit longer to gel, just in terms of the guys who are out of form that might still get selected. We might see a bit of a shaky start, whereas South Africa, just from start to finish, I think are going to be able to find their rhythm nice and early. Got a few nice warm-up games in July. So, yeah, I think that they should have a decent crack on being able to win that one. In terms of the Lions Tour, I see both sides hopefully winning one game. I know that Australia are going to have to play very well, and they've had a couple big injuries just recently with Noel Lolesio and Joseph Suali'i, which looks like maybe both of those guys will be out for that Lions Tour as a whole. So, yeah, it will be intriguing, but I think Australia will have to play well if they do want to get there. We have got there Hamish. We've got hot dog, burger. What else was in there? Hot dog, pie, ice cream, popcorn, or burger. I don't mind a hot dog. I know some people are against hot dogs a bit. But like the corn dog, as Americans would call it, the one on the stick. Sometimes you can get a pretty decent one of those. But I also do enjoy a burger. I was going to get a burger for the Mother's Day lunch today, but instead I went for the all-day breakfast. So hash browns, bit of bacon, a few eggs, some sausage. Currently they are just showing the overall standings at the moment, and at the moment Australia would still be in number one with the way that the scoreline sits. Greetings from Irania Hamish, says Gerhard. We have got there the super sticker from Sebastian. And I don't think I have to be a rocket scientist to guess what that one is. Nice, South Africa, you're doing good. Says John Ray. Yeah, very, very entertaining first half. And South Africa physical in their forwards and some pure pace in the back line. And some really good runs as well from Besta in that number 12 jersey. Beautifully taken though. Bri Kunawave puts the pass on the inside. That is a big mistake from South Africa. Just as I was praising the way that they have been playing, they make the mistake that now gives New Zealand an attacking chance 22 metres out from the Bok line. 50 seconds remaining in the half. Temblad lands straight on his face. Now, trying to get through. New Zealand at a screeched halt there after the big line break. Scarlet's 32-19 full time. Honest, I agree with you, but if Fraser's selections are on point, without being biased, we might stand a chance, says Roberto. Yeah, I think that New Zealand's selections are going to be very intriguing for those ones. Now passing across to the right-hand side. Chance out wide. Kunawave is waiting for it, but never quite got the pass. Now back across to the left-hand side for Cole. Gets it across to Woodley. Going to be some big opportunity here for the Kiwis right at the end of the half. Stanley Solomon draw and pass for the hat trick. He does score it. And it's 3 now for Solnoa in the first half. Is anyone looking tired yet? Honestly, no. Like both of these sides, I think stamina-wise, they're doing very well. Like neither side look like they're taking a backward step. And I think that might be because we've seen so many gaps opening up at times. Staying strong there. And Arania. And absolute robbery, picking these young, inexperienced fellas, says Sebastian. But nice backline there for New Zealand, which will bring the score that little bit closer now. Of course, New Zealand are defending champions of this under-20 Rugby Championship. So they have got a title to be able to try and back up here. Will be the kick once again for Cole, right next to the sideline. So really he hasn't had any favours in terms of the 3 kicks that he's had to take from the tries of Harlan Salnoa. This will get him back to a 2-point margin heading into the second half here. And it's got the accuracy and it goes over. So a great kick there. And at halftime in this contest, 26 points to 24. A 50-point half between these two teams, ladies and gentlemen. You can't ask for much more than that. Other than, of course, you know, the tackling, they'd like to make a few more throughout the second half. But I honestly do think it will be whoever gives away the least penalties in the second half, as well as whoever is able to really take their chances. The number 11, Gino Capito, every time I see him, he looks more and more like Damien Valimza. Right down to a T. What do you think about this season Super Rugby? I think it's been very entertaining. We've seen some really solid games, a few upsets, which is exactly what you want. You know, you don't want the favourites winning all the time. But yeah, overall, it has been very entertaining. And get in, Scarlets. And Hamish, you need to put a banner up on your screen. Funds for the new PC, says a Blues Nate. I think I can actually do that, if I'm not wrong. I think they have like a goal section. Now, if I was asked how to find it, I would not know. But we'll see what we can do in terms of the second half or halftime break at the moment. Hopefully you guys can still see me, as I can currently not see myself, as I am sitting here with this one. I'm going through the YouTube studio at the moment. Anyone who hasn't already, of course, be sure to leave a like and subscribe, as we are going to be back with plenty more action in the near future. The URC starting up next week. Yeah, there is a section that's called a goal. And it's like a certain amount of super chats. Set a timer for, I don't know how long to set this timer for, an hour, I guess. Show how you'll celebrate new PC. I have no idea what I'm doing, but we'll see if it works. I assume something will pop up. How do I actually select it and say, oh, there we go, start goal. There we go. We're learning on the job, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know what that does, but we'll go with it. And we have got there, nice to take a Welsh win in South Africa, regarding the Lions. Just saw a photograph of James Lowe in 2017 playing against the Lions. Now in 2025 he'll be playing for the Lions. Crazy. Says Geza there, and Leinster 74-5 Zebra URC yesterday. Yeah, really one-sided game. And also, though, in terms of the games yesterday, massive win for Benetton. managing to get themselves the victory over the Glasgow Warriors, which then makes the top 4 just as entertaining as that bottom 4 in terms of the top 8. And add that into the second. Kick it into the second gear now, man. It's 3 a.m. I just got some new greens at 2 a.m. packing my bowl now. Says Mr. All-In, were you nervous from the start, or about the start? I mean, it wasn't ideal in terms of how they started this match, but I also do think with what we've seen from South Africa, no offence to the side, but the fact that even last week they were up by 17-0 and then went on to lose that game, I feel like would have given New Zealand a bit of a sense of we can still get back into it in terms of the NZ side. So, yeah, I think second half is going to be just as intriguing. 50 points throughout the first half, of course, is a pretty massive one. Now, New Zealand have had a couple late changes due to illness, which did mean that we did see Sinton actually in the starting lineup. And I think there was another man who actually started this match too for the Kiwis rather than off the bench, as they had to have a bit of a reshuffle in terms of their overall side. For New Zealand, for South Africa off the bench, they've got some very handy players. Fenta at number 19, Klakane in the number 20 jersey, and then also JC Mars at number 23. Keep an eye on that man's pace because he can change a game if he does get plenty of possession. All right, we will go like this. We will go like that. And meet Johnny in 2001 Lions Tour. I caught up with him in 2003 World Cup at the honour of meeting and chilling with Johnny Wilkinson, treasure every minute. And Middleton's result was jaw-dropping. Yeah, they came out firing. And we have got there some fine in the All Blacks team. Says Marine Life. And also we've got the Leka JC. Says Loftus and also Box seem to be a good sevens team for games that are much shorter. Says ARC. See, that's the thing. Like, they've had a pretty up and down type of year as well for the Blitzboks, but they cashed in at the right time. They managed to get themselves the win and became the world champions of the year. And Hamish, the All Blacks are classy. Says Kevin Davis. They've been very good at not letting that start from South Africa get to them, because it's very easy to go with 17-0 down, drop our heads. In fact, they were 19-0 down at one point, but you can easily just lose interest and lose hope. But New Zealand went, nah, we got to find a way back into it. And 3 tries so far from the man out on the wing. At least he was going to be in the centres, but he started out on the wing for this game, Sal Noah. They are actually talking to the spicy plum at the moment. Stephen Kitsoff. Great to see that man. And the thing is, when you really think about it, it's great to see him being able to walk around, because like he had a really serious neck injury not too long ago. In fact, it was actually going to be more serious than paralysis for Stephen Kitsoff if he wasn't such a well-built individual in terms of strength and muscle. Like, it's crazy to think what could have happened for Kitsoff. And let's go South Africa, says Mary. And man time flies when there's a try every 5 minutes. It actually does. Like, this first half felt like maybe 20, 25 minutes if we're lucky. That first try from the Baby Box or Baby Blacks was amazing. Says Kiwi Rob. Now, just showing that first try that did come for Bester. Did manage to score it right out on the wing. In fact, both sides have been scoring quite wide out in most scenarios, with the occasional one coming a little bit further infield. Ngobesi managed to score himself one in the 7th minute. That gave South Africa the 12-0 lead, as Kitsoff allowed in the sun. Says Sebastian, only in, I'd assume, small amounts. Just like us other pale fellows, we burn pretty easy. And come on the box, says Gerhard and JC Mars will have a huge difference in this match. Says Loftus. And I mean, these Junior Boks are a good sevens team. Only went in the first... Oh, okay, no, I get you. Yeah, no, they did very well in the early stages. Tell you what, there was a massive effort there to try and cut off the second try from New Zealand. There was like a Superman dive from South Africa, but some very silky skills from both of these teams. Defensively, maybe missing a few of their tackles, but on attack, it's been extremely entertaining to watch. And Gareth was good in the Northern Hem. He was not so good when touring here. Johnny was, says Drape. But Leitua managed to score the try on the short side, just using pure powered. Away the forwards in Rugby 25 slow. Honestly, they just keep breaking that game that little bit more. Like, I want to do so many series on it. At the moment, I'm trying to work my way towards being the Springboks coach, and I want to do like a season as that, but it's unplayable at times, that game, whereas number 20 says Ty, where is number 20? As in, like, who is off the bench for both sides? There we go. So they have got Fale for New Zealand and then Klekane off the bench for the South Africans. So I'd assume you're talking about him because he is such a talented prospect. We saw him last year tearing it up in the under-20 comp when it was in Australia. And this year, they've actually used him more as a guy off the bench. I think the only game that he started was actually up against Australia. I think he was going to be off the bench, or I think he was off the bench of that first game of the contest as well. And thanks so much for not doing the Scarlets game. No worries at all, Flesh. And if they make it through to the quarterfinal, we're going to have a big decision to make because, you know, they will be in a big match. Maybe we've got to look away during the moments that they got the ball. Sid Going was a far more superior athlete than Edwards, says Rape. Second half of this contest. I would assume if the first half flew by in terms of how quickly the scoreboard and everything else did progress, I think that halftime will go just as quickly. They are just showing a bit of basketball as well. I feel like some of these guys out there on the field, in terms of the locks, I mean, Riley Norton he's got to be close to that 2 meters tall. Same with Theron, who's in that number 5 jersey. We've got a new member on the channel. Elliot, thank you very much for hitting that membership button. You now have access to those emojis in the chat. It is greatly appreciated you being here. And bring the 20 on for South Africa. So yeah, I don't think they'll wait too long. Like, don't get me wrong, Romeo, Biella, and Malaba didn't do too badly. Like, they had some good moments, but I think that Klekane could really change this game. And didn't know the two teams so good. Says Johannes, yeah, very evenly matched throughout this first half, which has been absolutely fantastic to see. Please don't. Says Fleshin. Well, they're going to have to qualify. See, there's no team really. Maybe Glasgow Warriors versus Scarlets because it's an early morning start on Saturday. That's pretty much where you've got to aim, Fleshin, and I might end up skipping that game. Maybe. Only just. But that would be the only way we skip their next contest, or in terms of their game of the URC quarters, I would say. Anyone else, we're going to have to cover it. Yeah, second half. Do let me know your score predictions, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pretty high-scoring game at the moment, the way that it sits. 26 points to 24, and we're only at half-time. We've got a 50-point game, and we've got 40 more minutes to be able to get maybe 50 more points, if we are lucky. And welcome to the Kiwi Lads Whānau, my bro. Says Blues Nate. And there as well, and this could be our best season since there were only 12 teams, says Fleshin. Yeah, like, they're looking like a good side, the Scarlets. Definitely with their, like, yes, they bet that Leinster side that were not Leinster per se, but honestly, that game there, I think, was just the turning point a little bit in terms of their run towards the end. Like, I would not be surprised one bit if they can get themselves a win over the Stormers next week. It'd be a tough one, don't get me wrong, but like the way that they've been going, definitely up against that Lions side, who are known for every once in a while having a bit of a poor game, but also being relatively handy throughout their games. Who scored before halftime, says Hardest. The try just before halftime for the Kiwis was Sal Noah, so he managed to bring up his hat-trick in this matchup. But both sides, they have had the halftime break, and we are right back onto the field. And my 19 to 34 is out in the brick house. How long until the next game, says Marine Life. Next game of the under-20s is actually about 50 days away, but that is a separate competition. We've actually got them all here, luckily. There we go. So the next game for the South African under-20s will be up against Australia. That is in Pool A of the under-20 World Champs. In terms of the game after that, it's up against the English, and then they've got a game up against Scotland. So some pretty tough games in the near future. It's under the 2 months away. For New Zealand, they have got Italy in their next contest, Georgia and Ireland. So not an easy group there for New Zealand either for the under-20 championship. Some rough-looking times there for us here in New Zealand, but hopefully we'll be able to cover a few of the games that are taking place. We have got there, oh yes, great sir, says Elliot. And we have got there, Scarlet ready to race. Start your engine, boys, says Blues Nate. In there too, but just the 2 points separating these two sides. If you haven't already, be sure to put that prediction in the comments. And Scarlets are playing Sharks. Oh, sorry, not the Stormers. Oh, because Stormers had the Dragons. Stormers had the Dragons, and they must be swapping with... Oh, no, they're playing Cardiff, aren't they? And then Bulls playing the Dragons? Is that the way that it's worked? How's your Mother's Day been? It's been good. We went out for lunch. That was about 15 hours ago, but went out for lunch with Mum, as well as Dad, and then also my grandparents, and then the other side of the family with Auntie and Uncle there as well. So, yeah, it was really good. Nice lunch, and then, yeah, we're up now at 3 a.m. doing a game. And Munster versus Benetton next week, so only one can win, says Jimbo. But now, second half has now started up, ladies and gents, so we will get the scoreboard hopefully going. And hey, for any Welsh team to get a win in South Africa is a big deal for us, says Fleshin. And going to be close score, a good game here. I can't give one, sorry, Amish, says Blues Nate. To be fair, you're probably smart not to give a prediction, because pretty much every single prediction that we saw in the first half was blown out of the water. Now, this is a big change for New Zealand. I've just seen there, Sol Noah's been taken off at halftime, and Rico Simpson has made his way on. You're working about 4 hours, says Kiwi Rob. Yeah, although I might get a little bit of a later start. Might get about a 12 start today, if I'm lucky. Aussies did Kiwis no favours, says Shut Up the Mouth. That is quite the name, isn't it? But yeah, Australia getting themselves a good win, just to put themselves in a good position. Here comes Rico Simpson up the middle of the field. He's only recently made his way onto the field, and that is to replace a man who has already got himself a hat-trick in this contest. Basin, another offload coming from New Zealand. It's going to be Riley Tofilo, I believe it was. My phone is about to die, so bye, says Loftus, so we will see you later on. And we have got the Scarlets could get Bulls away for the quarterfinals, says Jimbo. But the thing is, now that they've got the win in South Africa under their belt, I feel like that will also give them a bit of extra confidence. Correct? Sides just swapping between Bulls and the Stormers. And then the Lions are swapping with the Sharks, aren't they? I knew that there was some sort of switch, seeing as all four Welsh teams are currently still in South Africa. Now going off to the right-hand side, it is Sinton. Pops it up. Good hands here from New Zealand. Short ball. Cole goes on the outside. Little grubber attempted. Chance here for Kunawave to chase. Oh, he might have got the grounding. Yes, he does. Salutes the crowd. And Kunawave, very quiet first half from that man, but he gets the try there. And Simpson is a good replacement, says Drape. And I do hope it's nothing too serious for Sol Noah that has made him have to go from the field. My money's on the Bulls to win the URC, says Jimbo. And yes, go New Zealand, says Noah Mum. So already 3 minutes into this game for the second half, New Zealand score. So it does seem to be early on in the halves. That's when we're seeing the impact, and that is a good grounding from Kunawave. The only man who was back there to try and cut it off was actually Romeo. So I'm not sure where the cover defence was for the South Africans. 52 points to 48 is the score prediction from Lilia B. So you're saying both sides just double the points they got in the first half. We're seeing there the South African bench. Doesn't look like too many players are getting ready to come on just as of yet. Kalakanye, or Klakanye I should say, sorry, will be one to definitely keep an eye on. And we have got South Africa versus New Zealand rugby rivalry is the best in the sport. And a good kick there from Cole. Gets it over. And I'll ask once again, is the South Africa's best under 20 team? Says Eric. They've certainly made quite a few changes compared to the last matchup. But a good grubber in behind. New Zealand will have the 5-point lead now. The start of the second half. But this game, I mean, it's so far from over. We could see another 40 points being scored from these two sides. So that can completely change what happens. Like, that was a hard landing there for the South African lock, I believe, would have been JJ Theron. And we have got the All Blacks are on a roll. And the Bulls are class, but I would sooner them away than Leinster away. And Leinster in Dublin for the Bulls. Says Sean now going across to the side, and that's just going to be knocked on from LB Bester. Or, yeah, it was LB Bester. I think he's saying maybe it was a little bit high, the contact on him. Oh, time has been called off here. Is this because they are checking it? He's rubbing the back of his head. So perhaps they will have another little check. South Africa 36, New Zealand 49, says Bronwyn Smith. And Leinster final, says Jamie, and I'm going to get high, says Drape. They are just showing the live standings. If New Zealand can win this game, they will win the U20 Rugby Championship for a second year in a row. Australia would finish second, South Africa would finish third, and Argentina, with just the 1 point, would be in last place. Okay, got my coffee. Yay, New Zealand ahead. Never say never, Hamish. And got to go, thanks, Kiwi team. Says ARC, and also the Bulls have found their mojo. Can't see them beaten by anyone now. Moody to roast low, says Jimbo. Now, will be the scrum feed for New Zealand, just inside of their own half. A few of the medics making their way off. But two very solid size front rows for these two teams. I believe 2 out of the 3 for South Africa have actually managed to score themselves tries. For New Zealand, just the 2 who has managed to get one. 35 minutes left. That is the equivalent of about 6 or 7 tries, the way that these two sides have been going. So, like I said, plenty more action. Where can we watch this game? I believe for New Zealand, it's Sky Sport 1. For South Africa, I want to say it's on DSTV. And then outside of those two countries, I think maybe Rugby Pass might have it. But if you aren't able to catch the game live, the highlights will be up on the Super Rugby YouTube channel pretty much straight after the game is over. So I definitely recommend checking those ones out. They're normally about 5 or 6 minutes long. Beautiful sell of the dummy there. And once again through the gap, Will Cole goes on the outside to Kunawave, who does sit down Erasmus. Moving into the 22 here for New Zealand, Rico Simpson goes across on the inside. Big contact on Caleb Woodley. Now Sinton pops the ball up. Cole, Simpson, rushing out wide. Trying to cut that one off was Euster. And now missing the tackle there for South Africa, but eventually dragged down by Erasmus. Short side attacking from New Zealand, 5 metres out from the try line. Sinton goes short to the big man Pule, and he reaches out and scores the try. New Zealand getting 2 in a row at the start of the second half, actually in very similar fashion to what we saw South Africa do in the first. But just as I said, only one of the front rowers had scored for New Zealand. Sika Pole says, nope, now it is 2. URC playoffs equals anyone can win on the day, home or away, except for the Stormers. They are really bad in Europe, says Eric there. And 52 points to 26, says, shut up. And also, I think I'm just going to call you the mouth. Just because or else then it sounds like I'm insulting you every time I read out your name, the mirror image of the start of the first half. Yeah, exactly right. 2 tries within 7 minutes for New Zealand in the second, just like South Africa were able to do in the first half of this contest. What are we watching, Lol? 19-0 up, says Jimbo. I mean, we've seen a few comebacks, though, in recent times. I mean, look at the Crusaders, up by 9 at halftime, went on to lose that game by about 16. So even the best of the sides having a few struggles here and there. Now kicking this one for New Zealand. Cole does get it over once more. And go the All Blacks learn a box lesson. Says Albert. New Zealand rhythm making noise. Need to turn it down. And I'm Samoan. Shut up, DeMouth is how we say be quiet. Says DeMouth there. But now 38 points on the board for New Zealand, and now the changes are starting to come for South Africa. They've realised that now is the moment that they have to stop New Zealand from being able to run away with it. But it is going to be Halakane, does make his way on. And also Oliver Reed will be on for the South Africans. New Zealand claiming this one just outside of their 22 with Mosisi Basson back across to the left-hand side. We'll quickly go like that and like that. Scoreboard now behaving itself. Any reason South Africa? Oh, it's going to be intercepted. My apologies. We almost missed the build-up of that try, but New Zealand making the mistake. They're going to check this by the sounds of the whistle being blown. But a great interception try for the South Africans if it is awarded. And maybe they're rotating the squad, but honestly, I'm not too sure. Any reason South Africa have best schools rugby but sucks in under-20 rugby? Says Eric, although pretty short competition, Maglaba has managed to at least look like he's scored it, but they are checking it to see whether or not... Oh, Okay, they just want to check to see whether or not the player was offside here. So this might be Wandile Malaba's first try of the contest, or it might be taken off him. And that's because we don't poach players from Fiji and Samoa, says Fareed. They're just showing it now. Oh, I think this is going to be offside. Oh, actually, to be fair, he's rushed up, but the ball is in their hands. So I would almost argue he is onside. Not clearly offside. This one's going to stand for Mlaba, who just rushed up really well. Timed it perfectly. Scores a try. Same in Ireland. Great under 18, not so great under 20. And goodness, how many tries in this match. Honestly, it's looking like a 15 try kind of contest, maybe even higher than that. But currently we've had 11 tries from these two teams. So 38 points to 31. I mean, they did make a couple changes there, South Africa, but that wasn't what brought the try being scored, I don't believe. It was just some great rush defence. Now, chance here for Vusi Moyo. He's sitting 3 from 4 today. I'm just saying, g'day, says Damo. Welcome in, Damo. Hope you are keeping well and you have enjoyed the rugby over the weekend. This game looking like a thrilling finish. Currently, only another 30 minutes left. Oh, he hasn't quite hit that one the way he would have liked for Moyo. And that is going to make the score now remaining at 38 points to 31. But still 30 minutes remaining. More than enough time for both of these sides to be able to score, honestly, multiple more tries in this matchup. But it's just been so competitive throughout this first 50 minutes. Going to be kicked off now by New Zealand. Looking to get it deep was Will Cole. Taken inside of the 22. Here comes Alakane. Builds up some steam. And he's injured. The first player who tried to tackle him, I believe that was Dane Johnson, who stayed down. In fact, no, yeah. Dane Johnson it was. One moment, I am about to sneeze, so I'll very quickly mute for a second. We are good, and we are back. But now off to the left-hand side here for the New Zealanders. It was actually Faliafa who did end up staying down for a little bit longer. Wide cut-out pass from New Zealand. 3 changes in terms of the South African forward pack. They've gone with the 2 props taken off the field. And over there, your Bockies must get your kicks right, says Stefan, or you Bockies, sorry, from Stefan there. Currently 30 minutes left. Going back across to the right-hand side. Quick hands from Pule. A little bit of accidental obstruction there from the Kiwis. Looks like it is just going to be play on, though. Now around the halfway line. New Zealand have got the ball. Sinton. He's done pretty well for a guy who, up until about a day ago, didn't realise he was going to be in the starting lineup for this match. Now back across to the left again here. New Zealand just putting together some very nice phases around the halfway line. Not going too severe. The referee tried to pull one of the South African players out of the way there. That's a good attack and run from Faliafa. Although that does look more like Johnson, if I'm being honest. Now Nico Simpson, or Rico I should say, goes off to the right-hand side, New Zealand. This is great phase play at the moment. In your mind, it's going to be in the top 8 of the URC. I do think that, honestly, the 8 teams that are in there at the moment, I think will be the top 8. I don't think we'll see too much. Oh, that's a nice pass on the outside for New Zealand. Cutting back inwards. Passes one more. Stanley Solomon does get the try. And New Zealand get themselves another. And second last as usual, says Albert. And we have got there, please check the high schools comp for last 3 years. Hamilton boys. Grey in 2023, Westlake beat Island St Michael's. And we have also got there, where does the number 20 of South Africa went to school? I'm not actually too sure where Halakane did go to school. Someone from South Africa might be able to let us know. But Stanley Solomon does play for the under-20s in the Hurricanes setup. He did get to play in last year's competition. He was actually playing more of the position of wing last year, but now finds himself at fullback, although in the positioning of that one was out on the wing to be able to score it. Finds the camera and puts the M up. I'm not sure whether or not that is for like Mother's Day or whether that is just a celebration that he's got. He went to Graham College says Nseka. So thank you very much for that information. Our fullback is cocky player, small guy, big noise. Yeah, he has got a bit of an attitude about him. He has got a YouTube channel too, I do see, for Stanley Solomon. That kick has missed away to the side, so the score will remain 43 points to 31, with still another 27 minutes to go. New Zealand just getting that one shifting out wide, and Justa was caught a long way off the wing, and then the rush defence from Mintu just left the gap for the Kiwis to be able to run on through. And the Welkie says Stefan, in great pronounce, says Nseka. Now ready to kick this one off for Moyo. We will be back underway for some more rugby action. We've had 12 tries, ladies and gents. You can't ask for much more in terms of, if you want a high-scoring game with a lot of tries, this is pretty much it. It's been great from start to finish. And the best thing about it is, unlike New Zealand's game last week up against Argentina, where mainly New Zealand were just scoring time after time after time, like this game, we've got both sides still well and truly in with a shot of being able to win this match. Are the tries coming from brilliant attacking or god-awful defence? Is getting like a basketball score? A little bit of both. Like, there's been some really nice attacking moves, a few defensive errors from both sides, but that's kind of what you'd expect from the under-20s guys. Definitely with such a short competition and rotisserie changes. You know, you're looking at 7 to 10 changes per lineup per game. So you're always going to have that little bit of defensive uncertainty. But yeah, both sides just making the most of it with some brilliant attacking moves along the way too. And we have their Bok will have to get stuck in now, says Roof here. Now being down by 12, this is where they have to score the next try. If New Zealand get the next one, you'd almost say they should win from there. But then you can't guarantee it because, like I said, we've had 12 tries. So it only takes about 2 minutes to score in this contest. And both sides just keep on keeping on and keep on scoring. And a bad defence, says Eric. Yeah, although, like I said, there has been some really good attack coming from it as well. Maybe it has been amplified because of some defensive misreads, but yeah, it does seem like there's still a lot of talent. Not the straightest line out, actually more towards New Zealand than South Africa, but South Africa are able to claim it. Only going to be about 15 metres out from the try line now. Replacement 16 for the Kiwis. And Odorin. Now the captain, Norton, trying to find a way through. If New Zealand beat South Africa, New Zealand win the Rugby Championship. That is correct, yes. If South Africa win this game, they finish second in the overall standings. And man, need to see another Colsey type player. Now only a couple metres out from the line for South Africa again. They're shifting this one off to the left-hand side very quickly. New Zealand rushing up a little bit too fast and give away the penalty advantage. Mlaba goes over and it is another try. Try number 13. We're going to have more than 15 tries in this game, I have a feeling. But brilliant finish. Mlaba has scored the last 2 tries for these South Africans. I doubt that there has ever been a game where both sides get 50. You'd be surprised. The Premiership's had a few really high-scoring games in its time. A few of those games get really high up there. But, yeah, both of the sides just defensively, it just seems like there's too much power coming forward and not enough power defensively to push them back. You know, like Mlaba just rolled his way or bulldozed his way to the try line. Feels like a Sevens game. It's felt like the length of a Sevens game. Like, we've had 56 minutes. It's kind of felt like about 25, 30 minutes, if we're being honest. And that's one of the bonuses of so many tries being scored. The clock just ticks away and you don't even realise. Bring on the tries, says the mouth. Your best mark Talia is from our 4 times world champion country. Proves my point. Says Farid. Although I don't know how many people would call Mark Talia the best out of New Zealand at the moment. He's going to be heading to Japan. But great finish from him. Lava once again. And you watch South Africa Schoolboy Rugby. It's actually quite hard to find here. I think there's some games that get shown on YouTube, but I definitely don't watch it as much as I should. Because, I mean, we used to cover the Curry Cup on the channel as well, and then they stopped showing it here in New Zealand, so that was a massive shame. But I think they've got the licensing back now, so we might be able to do a bit of it for next season. Kick towards the touchline now for Mintu. Get it into touch. In fact, that time it was Cupido, or Gino Cupido, sorry. Did kick that one out. Currently, 5 points difference. Defence, just not a plan for under-20s. Well, I think someone described it pretty well earlier on. For these younger guys, you do focus a lot on the attacking side, and then as you age and get to those senior competitions, you do start to develop your defence a lot more. But I think it's also down to the fact that so many switches are happening for all of these teams. The fact that they're having, 5 or 6 guys at least per game that do make their way in and out of the lineup. It just leaves a lot of defensive or chance for defensive errors. This match to me vegetarian. That's how profound it's been, says Rehash. And so if South Africa win today, they win the Rugby Championship, or New Zealand still wins. So if South Africa win this game, Australia win the Rugby Championship for the under-20. So that win over South Africa, South Africa could end up on the same amount of points as the Kiwis, as the Aussies at the end of this game. But because Australia won the head-to-head result, the points differential in their other matches doesn't actually matter. This player now in the world is Sasha. That's from our South African schools. Show me your New Zealand prodigy. Of him we shall wait, says Fareed. Yeah, although, of course, Sasha not quite having the game he was after in the Stormers match. He's building some nice consistency with the exception of that game up against the Dragons, having a few 9 or 10 out of 10 performances as of late. Now, Wallace Atiti is a beast, that is true. And that man, the fact that he could still develop into any position in the loose forward trio is great news for New Zealand. He plays well at 8, he plays well at 6, he probably play pretty decently at number 7 too. The best in the north probably, says Mr. Orland. And I like no defence rugby. Won't you watch with me? We got 38 points, you have 43. That's a lovely little rhyme there. And 13 tries is definitely, at times, no defence rugby. You've got that right. But now, that one is going to go down in the scrum. New Zealand have got themselves the feed, though, after a mistake from South Africa near the kickoff. We are almost at the 20 minutes remaining in this match now. We've had 3 scrum resets. So it hasn't been the smoothest day at the office in terms of the scrums, although the turf does look a little bit rough. Sasha's the best 10 currently. You've just switched, haven't you, Fareed? You went from saying the best young player. In terms of the New Zealand best player now in the world is Sasha, but now you've gone to best 10. Now, ready to feed this ball in for Sinton. They can defend. There's just 15 great attackers, not long ancient times, only 2 wingers. We have got there, why is Sasha best player? Because he is from the Cape, says Eric. Whatever makes you happy, Fareed, says Wafer. 48 days to go to the World Rugby Under-20 Championships. While we've got ourselves another scrum reset, we might as well show you guys exactly who is going to be in action for these two sides. For the South Africans, they are going to be playing up against Australia, England, and Scotland. And then in terms of New Zealand, we will leave that up for just a little bit longer. We'll let you guys see the times. These are all New Zealand times as well. So for South Africa, that will be 3:30 p.m. on Sunday for that first match. As to when they are getting underway. In terms of New Zealand, they have got Italy, Georgia, and Ireland as their matches. All at, as you can see, lovely times for us here in New Zealand as well. Now, off the back of the scrum, going to the right-hand side for New Zealand. Great pass out wide, and Kunawave has got himself the 14th try of the match. That is now 3 matches in a row that he's managed to get himself 2 tries. So he has certainly had quite the competition. And we have got there, hi, there my granddaughter Barbara is watching you live. She wanted to ask how this championship works. If New Zealand wins this game, will they win overall or will Australia win? Cheers, says Rose. So pretty much the way that it works is Australia have moved up onto 10 points. I actually have the table from before this game. So Australia beat Argentina, so they move up to 10. New Zealand just need a win here to be able to win, whereas South Africa, due to their points differential not mattering because the first tiebreaker is head-to-head result, which does mean that in the case of Australia and South Africa, Australia would go higher. So if South Africa win, Australia win the Rugby Championship. If New Zealand win, they win the Rugby Championship. Hopefully that makes a little bit of sense. And once Mr. Way to the side in terms of the kick again here. Both kickers getting plenty of opportunity to line up the posts throughout this contest, but 38 points to 48. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the scoreline is becoming more and more like someone said earlier on, like a basketball score. And Sasha had 2 good games against bottom dwellers and was bad last night. Stop the overhype, says Eric. And what if it's a draw? If it's a draw, I think New Zealand's points differential is better. And I think for the draw, they'd get... Do you get 3 for the draw or 2 for the draw? If it's 2 points for the draw, but then they're also within 7. So if it's 3 points, New Zealand would win. If it's 2 points for the draw, Australia would win the competition. Talk about the group of death, says Wafer. Yeah, there's some pretty tough games coming up for both of these under-20 sides. As the defence set to 0% like the rugby mod on Rugby 25. Yeah, we haven't seen a huge amount. Well, the credit to some of the defence, though. Like, we've seen multiple times where both sides have reached 10 phases because the defence is just not quite budging. But there's just those big, powerful ball runners and the speediness of the wingers that just seem to be cutting both sides open. Baby White fans, who do we want to win, New Zealand or Australia? And we've got there, well explained, thank you. Says Rose, and nothing like basketball, it's not even a half. Stop overreacting. Says the mouth, we've still got time though. Like, I think we could see, what was my prediction? I said we'd see both sides get 30 points at the start of this game. Little did I know that both sides were probably going to get closer to the 50 mark. And Baby White fans, who do we want to win, Australia? Oh no, I read that one. Someone has to ask, is the best junior team or political team? I honestly don't know enough about the team in terms of the other guys that could have been selected. Oh, that was bad for Moyo. He kicked that one into touch and looked like he might have tweaked either his knee or his ankle in the process. Did not look too flash for a second there. And Lilia, New Zealand, says Sean Gunter there. But now, line-out chance here for South Africa. At the moment, the trend has been New Zealand score and almost get away. And then South Africa come back into the contest. So I would not be one bit surprised if they manage to get themselves another try here. Nicely thrown in. Claimed. And now they will be going for the rolling maul. We've already seen one try from Nibelele in this contest. Now waiting for this ball to come out the back. It is going to be the 21 in this game, which is Everson. Big run from Bester. Everson, counter ruck coming there from Kunawave in New Zealand. Get themselves the penalty. If yeah, let's go is what I've just heard from one of the Kiwis. And let's both get 50. And honestly, like, the back and forth of this game, like I said, compared to New Zealand versus Argentina, where New Zealand won by a really comfortable margin, this game, both sides have had some really good moments. So even in a loss, like, yes, it's probably going to be one of the higher points that you can lose a game with, but it's still something that's been, I guess, a little bit positive for these two sides. Some teams rotate their squads for the regional championships and the world championships. Says Geza, and come on, Baby Box, you can do it. Says Mary. Ready to throw this one in here for New Zealand. They will have the line out from about 30 metres out from their own line. To be honest, though, I'm a Kiwi. It wouldn't bother me if the Aussies won the comp. They've done it pretty tough in the rugby recent years. And honestly, like, they would, if they did win, I think that it would be deserved in terms of the results that they've had. They've been undefeated throughout the comp. They had a draw with New Zealand. They had the win over Argentina as well as the win over South Africa and a comeback victory. And even their game up against New Zealand was a comeback in the last moments of the contest. Kicked down towards the halfway line. Well taken from Cupedo. Tackled about 45 metres out from the line. Back across Everson, finds Alakane. 2-man tackle on him, which is normally what it takes, as he is an absolute unit of an individual. And just the missed pass. Looking to go out wide there to Romeo, but it was too far out in front of him. And we have there, the Aussies need every scrap. Lions might bury Aussie rugby. Yeah, and it would be a shame to see. Now, line out here for New Zealand, and the difference is they've made about 15 metres in terms of the territory department. But the thing is, as well, you look at this scoreline, 10 points difference with 13 minutes to go. Normally, you would say, like, the team who is leading have a really good shot at winning. This game, with the amount of tries, you just can't really say that. Like, yes, New Zealand are in the box seat, and if they score one more, perhaps they will secure the win, but I do think they need that extra one Nicely cleaned up. Cupido inside of his 22 runs this ball out. And it's going to be tackled well by Pule, about 30 metres out from the line. And 57 coming up for New Zealand, says Lawrence. And the thumbs up from Smitty. And there as well for the Kiwis, taken just outside of the 22. Rico Simpson looking for a 50-22 of his own, covered at the back from the Junior Springboks. And now Euster. That's something that New Zealand have done very well, though. Kept him pretty much completely out of the game. He's such a dangerous player, Cheswell Euster. And he's shown that throughout the Rugby Championship. Another kick downfield from Wilco. Looking for the 50-22, but it goes just outside. So South Africa will now have the line out throw from about 25 metres out from their line. And we go there, but will those young Aussies go to league? Stay in union? That is the very big question, isn't it? Highest international combined score is 177 points, where Hong Kong beat Singapore 164-13 in the 1995 World Cup. Now all you know. Or now you all know. Isn't it funny how, like, Singapore in that scenario still get some credit, don't they? Because, I mean, they got 13 points. They had to help in terms of the overall highest points scored. So, you know, that's probably one of the biggest rugby accolades Singapore have got, unfortunately for them. And New Zealand comeback, says Jamie. Yeah, they were down 19-0 in the early stages of this match. But once again, South Africa having a great start and they're just not quite finishing the match in the way that they would have liked. It looks like Harvey has made his way onto the field. Johnson, same for Pule. Now back into the pocket. And going for the kick downfield from Kyle Smith. And now another chance here for New Zealand to go for an attack 22 metres out from the line. About two players dodging that one for New Zealand. Tackle was a little bit high from Lava, but I don't think the referee was going to give him a penalty against them. If the Kiwis win, they should really relish this. Not easy to win in Africa, says the mouth. I wish I could have watched this game, but yeah, I have to work on this Sunday, says Jacques. Now, I will say Super Rugby YouTube channel is exactly where you can catch the highlights of this contest. So if you do want to catch what happened here, and I mean highlights, surely they have to make it 8 minutes because we've had, like I said, 14 tries. Will South Africa Rugby recover from this? Absolutely. Like, yes, they may lose this game. I think they're actually checking this one for a high shot that may have come in a little bit earlier on. One moment, I am about to sneeze again, so I will quickly mute once more. Here we go, we are good. But they are going to be checking this one with the TMO. But yeah, South Africa will be fine in the under-20s. Like, they've put in enough of a showing, not just in this game, but also through the under-20 Rugby Championship as a whole to still be one of the strongest sides around. Right, it is going to be this shot here. I think it was a bit high. I think it must be next phase. Surely it's next phase. That one looked like there was absolutely nothing in it, if that was the breakdown. I think the referees are just waiting for the right picture to come through. Here, Brother Nate. Just waiting to see who wins this crazy game, says Drape. And it is definitely one of the more crazy games we have covered on the channel. I'm thoroughly happy that I was able to get my laptop going. As some of you will know who were here right at the start. Oh no, there it is. The shot there from Caleb Woodley, I believe, to put on the hit a little bit high on Euster. But yeah, we had a few technical difficulties just before this game started, which did mean that it even looked unlikely we were going to be able to cover it, but I got my laptop fired up. I got some random lighting and whatnot going so that it would look relatively close to what our normal setup would. And it's good to know. Hamish is pretty reassuring. Says Rehash. But yeah, this might be a yellow card here for Caleb Woodley, and that is the last thing that New Zealand will want in the final moments of this game. So South Africa comeback commence, says LFG. Right, there is a head contact. The player is dipping a little bit, but New Zealand's Woodley is still pretty upright. It's always upright. Oh, a red card. That seems harsh. A little bit harsh. Yes, it's head contact, but okay, the two touch judges don't seem to agree with the main referee here. So I think the TMO might be leaning more in favour of a yellow card here rather than a red. Either way, he pretty much misses the rest of the game. But we're going to see the replay here. So it was the fend. He's coming in. I don't see that as a red. I think that there's an attempt at a wrap. The player is dipping down a little bit. Was this really the only high shot of the game, though? No. We saw one about 2 minutes ago. And they will fight till the last, says Mary. Right, so what was the indecision? Okay, the referee was adamant it was a red. We're about to find out because I actually missed what he said right at the end in terms of whether or not it was going to be a red or a yellow. No mitigation red card. So that is going to be the end of the day for Caleb Woodley in New Zealand. They're going to have to play with only the 14 on the field. Is the ref 19-2? He isn't, but that would actually be a kind of cool concept if they did decide to go with younger referees in this game as well. Who's that ref and where is he from? I've never seen him before in my life. And Classic send one off and make a comeback. Says the mouth and the Junior Boks don't have bigger locks than the small ones. Need more enforcers up front, says Eric. I do think that front row-wise, they're good in terms of their size. They've scored a few tries in this match, but it does seem to be, I don't know, maybe the starting locks were a little bit light. They had two quite tall, more, like, I don't know how else to describe it other than lanky players. Like, that's just the way that I'd say it in, like, terms of tall and thin. Although they're still, like, 100 and something kgs, I would say as well. 8 minutes remaining, says Hardest. At the moment, just the 10 minutes remaining. And South Africa have just dropped that ball. So New Zealand will have themselves a scrum. They may look at changing something here in terms of bringing another player out there for the scrum. We see it there. Baker makes his way on for Tingbland. But pressure on young refs, unfortunately. That is true. Although, like, I think we've seen top referees in terms of the older ones also make those mistakes under pressure. Ref is crazy. Money on red card in this game, says Drape. And sheesh, you can't make this up with these two, says Mr. All-In. And yeah, I mean, this game has already been so action-packed. Had to chuck a card in there as well, didn't we? Just to have that little bit more of the exhilarating finish. Ball is about to be fed in for New Zealand. Front rows do go down, so this will use up a little bit more time. I love this rivalry. The game always have drama, says the mouth. And the thing is, like, that red card, whether it was a yellow or a red, he was still going to be off the field more than likely for the rest of the game. So, yeah, I'm curious to see what comes of it, whether or not there's some sort of suspension that could maybe pop out. Last game of the week, last game of the whole competition as well. But yeah, last game of the weekend in terms of our commentary. Next game will be for the URC and also for Super Rugby. Those two competitions coming back in. I found it interesting that one of the refs for the Black Ferns versus Wallaroos was a New Zealand ref, says Novmum. And Pity says Devos. And out there as well. But the ball about to be fed in for New Zealand. They have actually shuffled across to the side a little bit further for the next scrum, but the penalty goes the way of South Africa. Halakane celebrating that one big time. The comeback is definitely now on for the Junior Boks. Getting ready to kick this one downfield. Slowly working their way back into this contest. And what at the moment, like, yes, we've seen South Africa versus Australia, I think, was an outstanding game. New Zealand versus Australia also a very good one. But I just feel like at the moment, from what we've seen here, this has to be right up there in terms of entertainment-wise game of the tournament. Only 3 more tries in this game, says Sean. When was the last time the Junior Boks won a title, says Eric? I'm not 100% sure. I know that this Rugby Championship under-20s has only been going for this year and last year. And New Zealand winning the first. Australia or New Zealand have the chance of winning the second, losing the footing there. As they threw the man in the air. I think it was Fenta who went up and came down at a slightly awkward angle. 14k crowds, that's awesome, Farnhouse. Tears of lose, Nate. And there as well, can South Africa score conversions in minutes, says Hardest. Well, overall, Moyo has been kicking relatively well, I think, for the Rugby Championship. He's had a couple rough ones in this match. Asking for the penalty advantage. They will not get it though. Everson goes short ball to Halakani. Still another 7 minutes remaining, and as we've seen already in this match, that is more than enough time to score 2 tries. Short ball to Bester. Back across Everson. Getting it into the wide channels. Chance here for JC Mars, and when that man has his hands on the ball, normally fireworks are close to follow. 22 metres out from the line here. Still on the side of South Africa. Smith goes across now to this left-hand side. Chance to break the line for South Africa. Good run from Bester. He did score the opening try of the contest. Has potential of scoring the last also. New Zealand defending well for phase after phase, but South Africa slowly making the meters. Another run forward from Ramal. Elton Lava. And New Zealand need to defend. Yeah, they need a big penalty here, the Kiwis. If they don't get it, I believe South Africa will score within the next 10 phases. At the moment, there's the advantage going the way of South Africa. Big Fen coming from Nibelele. He's had a very good game in that 2 jersey as well. A try now could lead to a brilliant finish in this match. South Africa trying to shift and break in the line. And it's the try between the posts for Kyle Smith. And we still have a late tail of the tape. The rear card for the Kiwis about 4 minutes ago. South Africa since then having some great attack, including winning the penalty at scrum time. And then scoring it to make it 48-43. Which will soon become 48-45. Under-20s International as maybe a bit better than watching than senior rugby. Oh, hang on. What's this ref doing? Is he going over to look at the big screen? I hope this isn't a TMO check for a no try. If it's anything, it sounds bad to say, but I actually hope it's New Zealand's discipline, like a high shot or something. I feel like that was a very well-worked try. Scoreboard says 74 minutes. 10 minutes, Lowell says wafer. That is because it is a little bit ahead, and I'm worried that if I update the scoreboard, it's going to say 80 minutes, which we are not quite at. We're going to see the replay here. There's obstruction. Unfortunately for Nlaba, I don't think it was the worst one in the world, but I think they're going to say it caused the gap, and we're both getting 50. Okay, ran into the All Blacks player. It created the gap. It's going to be no try, but it was a great build-up. They already have penalty advantage, though, for South Africa, so that is good news. We get to see them still have another attacking chance. So they are just finding the mark. At this point in time, no try, says Lawrence. And going to be a good finish. Good luck to both teams. Says the Malvin scores, says Marcus. At the moment, it is 48 points to 38. That try was disallowed, so they don't move up to 43, but they have still got themselves the penalty. They can try and go for a try yet again. TMO for another read, says Drape. And Arc TMO says Stefan. And wow, that's awesome. They can steal this one if disciplined enough, says Edwin. But now, ready to kick this one towards the sidelines for South Africa. The penalty did go against the obstruction, but New Zealand also having the earlier penalty go against them as well. Red card for the South African headbutt, says John Cross. I don't think we see too many South African headbutts since about Bismarck Duplessis days. And 48 points to 38. This ref is TMO and the linesman, but South Africa need to score now, absolutely. If they can score right now, they've got probably about 4 minutes, maybe a little bit less, to be able to go on and win this game. They've gone from a 19-0 lead to being down by about 14 to then coming back into it at other times in this contest, but currently down by 10. This is being played in South Africa. It certainly is at Gqeberha Stadium, I believe. A rolling maul here. This is going to be hard to stop for New Zealand. It's been dragged down, and it's a penalty try from the referee. South Africa run it back. They don't even have to take the conversion. And a penalty try, I believe, would be a yellow card for New Zealand here. They're just getting the number. And come on, New Zealand, says Novum. South Africa, let's go, says Rhea. This is going to be an absolutely insane last 4 minutes, ladies and gentlemen. Ref is helping here, says Eric. And let's go, says LFG. New Zealand playing with 13 on the field. 19 is going to be the man who has to make his way off. I believe that is Randall Baker. And this ref isn't listening to his match officials. Damn, says Blues Nate. He's taken it into his own hands and he has sent off 2 Kiwis. Penalty try and another man in the bin. What a finish, says Geza there as well. But now the score in this contest, 48-45. I don't think South Africa would go for a draw in this contest. If they had the kickable 3, I think they'd be going for the win. I love it, says Lilia B. The comeback, says LFG. And yeah, go deep and steal, says Mr. All-In as well. But New Zealand slower to get back to the halfway line. And it'll be 7 soon, says Jimbo. And we have the holy moly, says Stefana, and every collapse maul should be a penalty try. Says to Melvin, what's the score and how much time? Currently, 4 minutes remaining on the clock. 48 points to 45, the score. But now, Hakane inside of his 22. Great attack and run forward. Good clean out from Laba. Goes to the short side, trying to kick that one out. And it will be a South African line out at least. Tried to go for the sneaky kick down the wing for Mintu. And 52 points to 48 for South Africa is LFG's prediction. And that would bring us the 100-point game in this contest. Now, line out throw. 3 minutes now remaining on the clock. And a lot of pressure on this young man, Jandre Skuman. He has to do the line out. It's been Nebelele for the rest of this game. Take the drop goal, New Zealand, says Blues Day. I honestly don't know if a drop goal would be enough here. I think that both of these sides have been so well matched. 8 tries for New Zealand, 7 for South Africa. A few missed kicks in this game. We need a turnover, says Drake. What's next? An extra 10 minutes added to help South Africa, says John Cross. I don't know if they're going to need the extra 10. I'll be honest, at the moment they have got all the momentum to go on to win this game. New Zealand need to find a way of hanging on. That does not look too good for one of the New Zealand replacements. He's looking utterly confused. In fact, that was actually Xavier Tracy. South Africa, another try, please, says Miriam. What a game, says Devos. Yeah, been match of the tournament by far. And one more try, South Africa, then the halftime score will be doubled, says Lilia B. But now Skuman with the line out. New Zealand throwing a man up early, and it's claimed by Fenta. Back across to the right-hand side, Alakane. Good attack and run up to 40 metres. Out playing the 9. And the penalty goes against New Zealand again. Red card for 14 New Zealand player. And this is nuts, says Jimbo. Come on, South Africa, we need a try, says Ty. I think there'll be some players who will play for the Springboks and the All Blacks one day. I do believe so. I think there's been enough talent across these lineups. I mean, yes, we've seen defensively both sides have struggled a bit, but on attack, they have looked very dangerous. Just keep the ball in hand, boys, says Edwin. Yeah, South Africa at the moment, they have had, I would have to say, about 80% possession since that red card, if not even higher. New Zealand given away 11 penalties throughout this match compared to South Africa's 6. And that is really the difference maker throughout the second half. And we said at halftime, whoever was the more disciplined side in the second half would win this game. And at the moment, that is South Africa. Everton, going across to the side. Back to the right. Chance here to be able to move forward. 40 metres out from the line. I'm sweating, says Justin. Passing it across now. Chance for Halakani. One more pass. Schumann close to the sideline. Almost wrestled out. Loose ball there. And it's going to be play on New Zealand. Managing to grab that ball. 100 seconds remaining on the clock. What is the plan here for the Kiwis? It looks like they're just going to try and play crash ball for the next few moments. I don't know whether or not they can afford to give the ball back into the hands of the South Africans, or else they might lose this contest. So they are just going back-to-back phases, managing the game for the last minute of the contest. South Africa hoping to force a bit of an error in the breakdown. Referee just checking his watch to make sure he's got the right time. No way they hang on, says Jimbo. Would be absolutely incredible, and that is an absolutely huge hit coming in. South Africa looking for the counter ruck again. New Zealand just taking phase after phase inside of their own 22. If South Africa get themselves a penalty, they will have a great chance of being able to win. But for now, New Zealand being very strategic, hoping to win the penalty at some stage in the near future. South Africa joining the breakdown again, and this is frustrating. for the Springboks side, as all they want to do is get that steal, but New Zealand are making it difficult. Back into the pocket. Not quite. Half a minute remaining on the clock. Schuurman goes for the counter ruck, doesn't get it back across here for the Kiwis. This has been an enthralling 80 minutes of rugby between the sides. 15 tries scored between them. South Africa trying to hold them up, but the ball goes down again. 15 seconds remaining. In fact, the ref says it's not over, and that one only just goes into touch. New Zealand trying to boot the ball out at full time. The kick went up, it went backwards, and it almost landed in the in-goal area, which would have led to more than likely an awkward bouncing ball and maybe a South African try right at the end. But that has been 80 minutes of non-stop attack from these two sides. A few tackles were made along the way. A red card, a yellow card, a 93-point game between these two sides as well. Congrats, New Zealand deserved winners. Honestly, either of those two sides deserved to win that contest. And it's a brilliant way to close out a Rugby Championship under-20s comp. New Zealand go back-to-back, but South Africa, they can hold their heads about as high as they can in this contest. You know, it's not often you lose a game with 45 points on the board, but they fought every ounce of effort in this contest to be able to win it, and you know, one awkward bounce or one pass, and it could have been a whole different story. Long 5 minutes, need a person who has a real watch. See, it was actually shorter on the referee's watch than it was on the scoreboard time. So, yeah, I thought New Zealand went a bit too early with their kick into touch, but the ref must have said it was already over. Congrats, New Zealand, what a game. Both teams played outstanding rugby, never in doubt. Kidding, says Wafer. And back-to-back, says Kiwi Rob, and well done, New Zealand, says Aria. And there as well. And 13, boys, well, says Blues. Now, yeah, they had to show a lot of resilience in that game, New Zealand, to be able to just hang on with 13 men having 100 seconds, which doesn't sound like a long time, but having to hold on to that ball for 100 seconds while you are inside of your 22 with massive South African forwards like Harakane just bulldozing into you, trying to knock that ball out of your hands. It's just those little moments that, I mean, these two sides, they'll learn a lot from this contest. He said over, Hamish, says Kiwi Rob, and well done, New Zealand, says Sean Gunter, and thanks so much, Hamish, you're the best, says Rhea. Yeah, it's certainly a game that I'm more than happy that we got up for. It's currently 4 a.m. in New Zealand, but what a way to end the Under-20 Rugby Championship. And sadly now, we have to wait 50 more days before we get to see these sides back in action. It will be the Under-20 World Championship. And in terms of what matches are coming up for the New Zealanders, they will be playing Italy, Georgia, and Ireland. And then in terms of South Africa, they are in a separate group. New Zealand in Pool C, South Africa in Pool A. They are playing up against Australia, which will be a rematch of a match that we've seen in this Under-20 Rugby Championship. England and also Scotland as the other contest as well. But I don't even know who you give man of the match to. Looking through at the lineups, I mean, we saw a hat-trick from Sol Noah, but he went off at half-time. We saw some great work from Bester in the midfield for the South Africans. We saw 2 tries for Mlaba back-to-back. We saw New Zealand's halfback in this game stepping up, Sinton. He wasn't even supposed to be in the starting lineup a couple of days ago. Will Cole looked good in the 10 jersey. Kunawave, he scored 6 tries throughout the Rugby Championship, but he didn't actually get the ball much in this game. Thank you, Hamish. This was fun. Have a great, fantastic weekend, says Lilia B. And New Zealand are the best, says Smitty. And 13 man strong. And nice work, Hamish, says me. In there. And defending with 13 players, amazing. Oh, absolutely rocked, says Blues Nate. And also well done, my All Blacks, says Terrence. And man of the match was... One moment. I'll click there and click there. Man of the match was Hamish. Oh, that's me. And we have there. Take care, everyone. See you all for the final day of the URC next weekend, says Jimbo. And there as well. And just some nice words here from Riley Norton, the captain of the South Africans, saying that the crowd has been great throughout this competition, being in front of the home crowd. And there's been some very entertaining rugby. And you look at South Africa's games, the loss to New Zealand and Australia, both by narrow margins. You know, one more try could have been the difference maker and could have been a championship in their favour. But New Zealand, their massive win over Argentina certainly gave them confidence going into this game. When you concede 45 points, you don't think you're going to win a game, but that is what happened here for the All Blacks. And we have there, God bless everyone. Be safe, says Drape, and thanks Hamish. Give the man of the match to the ref, says Drape, and well done boys, says Di, and also let's not watch the Scarlets to the URC final, says Fleshin, and there as well. But nonetheless, I do thank you all very much for tuning in. If you did enjoy, of course, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. We've got URC and Super Rugby next week, 4 a.m. time to heat up. Some Mother's Day leftovers. Cheers for calling the game. Cheers, Mr. Hall, and there as well. But thank you all very much for being here. Happy Mother's Day, of course, to those who are in South Africa and the Northern Hemisphere, as it is still Mother's Day there. And I will see you all for the next one.